Wow, that took a long while. Primarily because I had to do a bunch of shit at the very last moment that I guess I should have done beforehand, but whatever. It's not a big deal. Here we go. Yeah. My cat's unfortunately not here. He's being a little strange at the moment, so don't know why. And by strange, I mean he basically acts like he's trying to take a shit, but then he's not. It's weird. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's a pretty old cat. He's got HIV and whatnot, or cat AIDS, I guess you might call it. So I'm not too sure what the deal is with that. If that's like affecting his behavior. I even tried seeing if there was something stuck to his butt, but whatever. Anyways, what were the topics that I had? I had a couple of topics I wanted to talk about real quick. That I designated here in the tabs. Hold on. Let's see, what were the topics again? Oh yeah, Russia-Ukraine conflict, Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan Kenobi thoughts. So, those are fairly succinct topics. Let's get into them, shall we? So, the reason why I'm so late, by the way, is that I decided I would go ahead and watch a debate. Between, I guess it's supposed to be a foreign policy expert with like PhD certification and so forth. Hold on for a second. There's something that's kind of throwing me off here. I'm not too sure what it is. Oh yeah, it's probably the lack of health. God damn! Yeah, it was the lack of health there, obviously. So, anyways, there was this PhD person that Vosh was going ahead and sort of giving his disagreements with him, his takes, if you would. And for all intents and purposes, I sort of watched it, the first 30 minutes of it. And, well, it's like I did not expect the takes to basically be akin to, oh, I'm going to go ahead and start coping about how Russia doesn't have, like, any kind of intent, or there's, like, no evidence of Russian intent to expand westward at all. Which it's like, that's like pure and utter cope. You can't really have that position and not tell me it's like not cope. God damn! This guy. So, you know, and the reason why I say it's not cope, by the way, is because, like, here's the thing here. Russia, thus far, has either annexed or made actions to engage in forms of annexation that ultimately, more or less, indicate expansion in its territory amongst the West. I mean, they're also, like...
How was that for fun?
And one of the things that they're doing in that regard is to, like...
No. We are stuck.
And one of the things that more or less seems to be indicative of the fact that they're doing it is also that...
Can you get it free?
Yeah, I know, boy. Let me go and pause this so I don't get your interruptions here. So, yeah, one of the things that more or less is indicative of that as well is the fact that they're also, like, funding white supremacist groups in the areas of, like, Ukraine, Crimea, and... You know, Crimea especially, like, before they annexed it, there was, like, heavy involvement of funding to Russian aligned white supremacist groups that wanted Russia to become, like, you know, that wanted Crimea to become part of Russia. Which it's like, okay, like, that's another thing. And they're also funding propaganda efforts to get people, or make it at the very least seem to be like having the people supportive of them joining Russia again. Which, if I'm being perfectly honest, is pretty fucking sussy when you say, when you're an expert and you claim shit like, oh, Russia, there's no evidence whatsoever of, like, Ukraine wanting, Russia wanting to invade Ukraine. It's like, you're kidding me, right? No evidence? You sure about that? Anyways, after that, I decided, you know what, this is going to be a waste of my time. I might as well just go ahead and get ready to do some, to do my live stream. And of course, some things came up right at the last fucking second as I was doing it. Some stuff with pets, some last minute organization stuff that only took like 5 or 10 minutes, so I figured it wouldn't be a big deal. But then my cat decided to go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to look like I'm taking a shit. I'm going to look like I'm trying to take a shit, but I'm not going to try to take a shit. So, okay, just no frost damage. I'm just seeing what it is I might be able to get here. Hey, buddy, what's up? Light arrows inflict a massive amount of stun damage to enemies. Huh. Okay then, well, I guess probably gonna be doing some of this then. So yeah, one of the other things that sort of made me want to watch that debate was primarily because I don't really agree with Vosh and the idea of sanctions and whatnot. Now, I think the threat of sanctions, along with diplomatic means, that more or less helped us to de-escalate the situation, like in the Cuban Missile Crisis, for example, I think is a pretty good means of trying to make it so that way the escalation of the situation doesn't get any worse, and things, more or less allow for Putin to basically back off. Now, obviously that doesn't work. We're going to have to supply arms to the Crimean people, to the people of Ukraine. Sorry, I did a little bit of a slip there. And we probably should go ahead and do that at the very least, in a sense, because, well, it does seem that the people there want it. Although I'm not entirely too sure, because, it's a foreign country. I'm not exactly there. I don't know what the situation is on the ground. And not to mention, like, America also has, this is not to do whataboutism, but this is also to point out the fact that America has also been funding white supremacists throughout the region, if you would. If you want to go ahead and check that out, that information out, I'd recommend the channel Representative Press in this video on the Ukraine-Russian conflict, in which he details quite a bit of information. I actually emailed that video to Vosh. He said he would check it out. In fact, most of the time I usually present information to Vosh. He's usually pretty upfront about saying, sure, I'll check this out then when I get around to it. It's like, he hasn't gotten around to it yet, but I'm pretty sure he will at some point in time. So yeah, hold on real quick. See how it brought this for focus. Hold on real quick. What's this? Sorry, I'm just looking at this, comparing stuff. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm not exactly into appeasement either myself. It seems like tankies and certain other isolationists just want to engage in sort of appeasement fronts, which like I guess you could consider me an isolationist if you want, because I believe that America should probably stay out of the business of most countries and should probably not be involved in the other foreign
Yes.
policy affairs
Now
and
be
all that
ready.
stuff.
Focus up, boy.
God damn. So yeah. There we go. Yeah. I do tend to think that like things like diplomacy should probably be the more optimum and operative way of actually dealing with this situation, if you would. These fucking strikes, man, they are really annoying me. God damn. There we go. God damn. Hmm.
Stuck again.
I know.
Yeah. So, you know, and the reason why I mentioned that, by the way, with regards to the U.S., is because it's like, I don't really know whether or not the white supremacists that Ukraine is funding in the area is like a response to America funding white supremacist groups. Which it's like, it's really not something that I think, oh.
What then? What comes next?
Nothing comes next. We go home.
That's it? The adventure is over?
For now. But we will have much to do. You were right earlier on the boat after cutting down the last tree. You said it felt like something had changed. And it has. And our home is no longer safe. But it will be again. And we must continue your trading.
Okay.
Hmm.
Whoa, what was that?
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, but if I'm being perfectly honest, the whole thing is a bit of a shit show.
That looks like a root of the Yggdrasil.
Crystallized sap. And there is power inside.
Incredible.
So yeah, I mean, the whole fucking The whole goddamn thing is a fucking shit show. And I kind of wish the Vosh would eventually, like, address that fact. Like, I would like to see him do some research on that regard, because I don't...
Did they move in after the giants left? Or are they why the giants left?
Boy, the air grows thin here. No more questions. Breathe.
Those are all very good questions, Atreus.
I see.
So, yeah. So, yeah. I honestly don't have the time nor the fucking reach to be able to expect me to be able to do something like that. So that's why it is that I sent that video to Vosh in particular to see what it is that his research can go and come up with. Sindri.
Wait, boy.
It's Sindri. Can you kill something that big?
If we can catch it off balance.
I can distract him.
What are you doing?
We have to help him.
Break right. Find an angle. Wait for my mark.
Thank you. Hey, Ugly! Over here! You okay?
So yeah, but that's the extent of my thoughts on the whole Ukraine conflict, if you would. There's not really much to say. It does seem that Russia is very much in the wrong, which at the time were really fucking great. There were some goofy things on them that I thought were a little bit much, like, you know, the biker gang. They look like a bunch of fucking Power Rangers, for fuck's sake. But then I finally found out that apparently the reason why they look that way is because the guy who directed the episode is apparently the same guy that did Spy Kids, which it's like, okay. So yeah, that the looks of those kids finally makes a lot of sense now. So, you know, if I'm being perfectly honest, I do. So, you know, there was also the way in which Black Chrysanthemum was portrayed, which I really did not like. At the very beginning, he comes into the whole thing trying to kill Boba Fett with just pure muscle, which ultimately doesn't make any sense because he can, like, kill him in that regard, but then again, he's kind of a Wookiee. So it's like, the Wookiee probably wants to go ahead and kill him in fair combat, since there's, like, honor and some sort of warriorness, if you would, to his species and people, which I can kind of understand. He's also a hunter, a bounty hunter, so he wants some challenge out of what it is that he's doing there. And if we know anything about, like, Wookiee bounty hunters, it's the fact that they more or less that they are very stubborn and wanting a fight that actually, like, challenges them. So, you know, but to be perfectly honest, it's like, it was still kind of a dumb move. Now, the fight itself, actually, I did kind of like, but I'm not a big fan of that in a sense. Oh, look, a bot. Time to go ahead and report it for spam. Content spam. There we go. Oh, matter of fact, let me go ahead and show some of what it is I'm talking about in this sense. You know what? Now I don't want to have my videos copyright striked or whatever again, because that's just annoying. Primarily because when they're struck in like that, is only an indication of that. Like, I haven't quite set up how it is I'm supposed to be able to see that in real time. But anyways, point being is that they did Black Chrysanthemum a little bit dirty. Now, at the end of near the end of the episode, by the way, I'm not going to bother with spoilers and all that much whatsoever, because I'm not going to bother, like, not giving spoilers, because, to be perfectly honest, like, the show is out. The show is out on Netflix. Reviews are pretty much out at this point in time. So yeah, if you don't want any spoilers, just go somewhere else, alright? So yeah. Anyways, I'm not really a big fan of how it is that this game is sort of removes QTEs. I mean, sure, there's like the mash, like, there's a mash button there, but at the very least they could have kept the QTEs. Anyways, he is basically redeemed, in a sense, by coming out at the last moment and all that stuff. The Gamorreans kind of got killed for no reason. I mean, there was no reason to really kill them off the way they did. Especially the fact that they went out chumps like that. Oh.
And you!
But nobody's killed a dragon for hundreds of years. Not since the grand culling of the worms. And unless I'm mistaken, you did all that for me.
You are mistaken. The dragon was simply on our path, nothing more.
You deny all you want, but you saved me. And that deserves compensation.
What are these?
Braided mistletoe arrows, straighter than Heimdall and perfectly weighted.
Oh. Thanks?
Oh. Okay. Hold on. Oh, not that. Have you seen my brother again?
Yeah. You said you lost your talent.
Oh, and that I'm selfish? No. I'm sure. That I value a weapon's look? No. Over its purpose? That I'm pretentious? No. And uptight? Fussy? I know what he thinks, but he can't hurt me any— Ah! Burn that.
I do not have time for this.
No. Wait. I have a better idea.
What?
I just need a tooth from that dragon.
Why not?
Perfect! That should do. Oh. touching that. Just hold it out. Now, run that along the string of your son's bow. Just humor me.
Atreus, your bow.
Two passes should do it. Gently, now.
I was waiting for this one in particular.
Whoa.
Oh, sure. Now you're impressed. I've added a new vibrating pattern to close fiber, aiming it at that hardened world tree sapwood vibrating patterns to fraction.
What's that mean?
It makes certain crystals go boom. Trust me. You'll love it. Very well. To business.
Alright, there we go. Let me see here real quick. Ah.
Travel safe, you two.
Where'd you learn how to do that, Sindri?
Well, after Brock and I parted ways, I undertook some study in Vanaheim, truly mind-expanding. Now and then, I need new inspiration to grow creatively. Part of why we split up, my brother and I. He's stuck in his ways, so our work stagnated. Sure, we mastered weapon making, but then what? Change is a part of life. If you can't adapt, learn to thrive, you'll be left in the dust. And that's filthy.
Okay. Until next time.
Before you go, see that you take special care near the peak. I'm pretty sure Odin's protecting something up there, and you don't want to get on the Aesir's bad side.
What is it with you?
Long ago we were hunting deer. Now we found dark elves, trolls, ogres, and a dragon. I feel like we could be anything now.
We win because we are determined, disciplined, not because we feel ourselves superior.
Sure, I know. It's just, it feels good to be strong, you know?
Yes, I know.
Runic light attack. Light runic attack. Ah, interesting. Probably not gonna do anything with that. Roma deeply wants attention. Roma's just a giant fucking puppy. Here, let me let you guys see Roma real quick. Let's see here. Can I get her on the screen here real quick, or is she just? Yeah, it's a little bit too dark in the house right now at the moment. But yeah, she's a beautiful bulldog. Roma, come here, Roma, come here. Look at the screen. There you go. Yeah. So, anyways, I'll probably see about maybe setting up a second camera once I get my office set up. Oh, by the way, going to be possibly moving into a new room soon. We cleared that. My brother cleared out some area of the house that he's probably gonna move my computer. That we're gonna move my computer to, and all that stuff. And so yeah, and we're probably gonna do that within the next month. Should be an interesting, interesting experience, if you would. But anyways, real quick, more shock damage to enemies. Okay. Increases shock duration. I'm gonna go for that automatically. And I'm gonna go for this one because this one is very valuable here. Okay. So yeah, one of the other things I'm not exactly a big fan of, more or less, is the fact that, well, Book of Boba Fett, like, also ended up going off the rails in a sense with episodes 4, 5, with episodes I guess like 5 and 6, or no 4 and 5, because they were primarily about Din Djarin, and because of that, if you would. They can't really abuse their actors at all, you know, as well as the fact that they can't really be doing shit like not giving out royalties to actors for remasters and so on and so forth, and recreations of certain characters, you know, that they were involved in creating, even though that's the case, really, because, you know, if they just use the actor's likeness and they create a performance all their own, the studio does, then it becomes pretty hard for them to justify legally royalties being given over to the various different actors. So, you know, that's like a very ghoulish thing to consider that Disney is doing there with this technology, so I'm not exactly like comfortable with it. That being said here, I don't really have that much of an issue with what's going on. What are we doing? Huh. They're worshipping. They're engaging in prayer, I guess. And I guess it's supposed to be like a So yeah. That being said here, what did I actually... That being said here, what are my thoughts on... So yeah, now that being now, like I said, that being said here, I think it's important to recognize that Disney more or less is innovating technology that allows them to recreate the image of an actor that they necessarily want, that probably doesn't exist or probably isn't alive anymore, that they think that more or less would benefit them than hiring an actual actor. And I think that's okay. It would be less concerning if capitalism was involved in our economy. Anyways, it seems like nobody's showing up for the chat, so I'm just gonna take that off there for a bit. So yeah.
Boy, another one.
This one's called Emir. Mother tried to tell me this one, but I think I was too young. Are giants coming out of his armpits? I think that might be Odin stabbing him.
There we go. Alright.
Boy,
Yes, sir.
Let's look at the lore marker. Here fell Nerthus of the Vanir, slain by Magni and Modi, sons of Thor. The Jotnir bear witness to the cruelty of this long war. Neither Aesir nor Vanir may triumph, it is foreseen. But what may be left of Midgard before they lay down arms. Giants wanted peace. No wonder they liked Tyr so much. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, one of the things I'm not exactly a fan of is the fact that, well, when it comes down to it, like, you have way too much focus, if I'm being perfectly honest, on the side characters. Like, I get why they were doing that. They were trying to develop these characters more or less because they're kind of new within the lore. At least some of them are, anyways. I wanted to establish certain things that were sort of that more or less indicate that these are just not just one-off people that just sort of show up in the show and fuck off or whatever, that there's some depth to them, that have that was that really needed. So yeah. By the way, for those of you wondering about my frames here, I'm getting about like basically 45 to 50 frames per second.
your quiver.
Strap broke when we fought the dragon. It's alright. I can hold it.
Stop.
It's one of these moments.
A broken quiver will slow your draw. Pain we endure. Faulty weaponry we do not. This will do for now. Good?
Good.
Go. Steady, boy. Mind your footing.
So yeah, what are my thoughts on? So yeah, what do I like about the show though? Well, I like the way in which they did Boba Fett. You know, a lot of people have some weird problems with the Tusken Raiders that to me are not only not problems, but also very much like indicative of the fact that the people who are saying that there's like a lot of problems with these characters more or less indicates that like, oh, they ruined the Sand People, whatever. they made them an indigenous allegory or some shit like that. Which it's like, the Sand People are a bunch of monsters. You know, they're a bunch of mindless savages, and you know, it's like, okay, first of all, this is just like a complete misrepresentation of the whole, like,
Thought they were.
the reason why I say that is because, like, these people who want to say that the Sand People are just mindless savages, they clearly don't know what the fucking term is, actually, because when it comes down to it, like, to refer to people like that within the world of Star Wars, for example, is to completely miss a lot of the background to why they are the way they are.
Shh. Not company this time. Must be important if the sons of Thor deign to grace me with their presence. Tell me, you two still tripping over yourselves to impress Daddy?
The tattooed man tracks show he now travels with a child. Where would they go next?
Why would I know that?
You're the smartest man alive, aren't you?
Smarter than all the dead ones, too.
You help me, I help you. Tell me where they are, and I'll talk to Odin.
Your father won't let me go, Balder, and he won't let you kill me. You have nothing to offer me, so take your questions, take your threats, take these two worthless wankers, and piss off!
When no one's looking, we'll be back for your other eye.
Don't you forget. We're everywhere.
We really are, aren't we?
Ah, the very topic of conversation. A tattooed man traveling with a child.
We check their path. Make sure we're all alone.
But we just saw them leave.
Do as I say.
We didn't really see them leave at all.
I would keep it that way. Who are you?
Me? I'm the greatest ambassador to the gods, the giants, and all the creatures of the Nine Realms. I know every corner of these lands, every language spoken, every war waged, every deal struck. They call me Mimir, smartest man alive. And I have the answer to your every question.
Why does the son of Odin hunt us?
Okay, there are a few gaps in my knowledge. Odin's had me in prison here for 109 winters. I'm a clever lad. I can piece it together. Promise. Just given time.
Nobody there, just like I said.
Roy's mother is dead. She wished her...
She wanted us to spread her ashes on the highest peak in all the realms.
Oh, then you've come to the wrong place, little brother. The highest peak in all the realms is not here in Midgard. It's in Jotunheim, realm of the giants.
No!
That could not be what she meant.
Take a look. This is the last known bridge to Jotunheim in all the realms. See that mountain? Looks like a giant's finger scraping the sky. That's the highest peak in all the realms. No here.
Can't we just take that bridge? We have a Bifrost.
When the giants destroyed all other bridges to their realm, they locked this one up with a secret rune. If it still exists, only a giant would know it.
And all of them left Midgard a long time ago.
True. But today, the winds of fate have kicked up a strange vortex of coincidence. Fact is, there's only one person alive who can get you where you need to go. And luckily for you, my schedule's wide open.
We're going to Jotunheim, right?
It's your best and only move from a tactical standpoint. It's the one place the man who cannot be killed won't follow you.
What do we do?
Yes!
First, you need to cut off my head.
Wait, what?
And Odin made sure that no weapon, not even Thor's hammer, could free my body from these bonds. But fortunately, you don't need my body. The trick is, we need to find someone who can reanimate my head using the old magic.
Old magic. There's a witch of the woods. She knows the old ways.
And she'll help. She might do worth a try.
But if she fails, he will be dead.
He tortures me, you know. Every day, brother. Odin himself sees to it personally, and believe me, there is no end to his creativity. Every single day. This isn't living.
Very well.
Oh, I can't watch this.
Brother, in case you can't resurrect me, there's something you need to know. Boy, the longer you wait to tell him his true nature, the more damage you do. He will resent you, and you may lose him forever.
There is much about me I would not have him know.
So you value your privacy more than your son?
I'm going to cut off your head now.
Ah, it's like, oh come on, we don't even get to see that. It should be like an easy fucking thing to do there. And where the fuck did that rope come from? I mean, was that there? I don't remember that being there. But whatever. Video game
Yuna.
logic, you know.
We're going to Yuna. We're going to find the long-lost realm of the giants.
Inconvenient.
Anyways, like, okay, so the whole thing about the Tusken Raiders is if you actually look into the lore and to the EU and whatnot, you quickly find out that not all Tusken Raiders have the same exact relations with humans or with outsiders and settlers and whatnot
Do you remember
as everyone
the way to the
else. So,
witch's
you know.
house?
The woods with the blood red leaves. South of the lake. I know just where to go. Hope she made it back from Alphon and bring the mirror back. You seem nice. Before you cut off his head.
And the reason why I say that is because, well, you know, in Kotar in particular, you actually have an instance of of being able to negotiate with the Sand People,
Rose Balder
but
came to our house. The Acer, though.
oh,
Balder. You fought him and won.
Yes.
One of Odin's sons, Thor's brother. And now he's hunting us with his nephews. Why has this happened?
If we can raise the head, you can ask him.
Okay. You know, it's silly, but I secretly hope we find a giant somewhere in that mountain. I guess they really did leave Midgard, except for the serpent. And maybe the last of his kind. Are you the last of your kind too? Is that why you don't like to talk about
My kind.
I mean, your family. Before Mother. Where you came from. Mother, father?
Now is not the time for that.
Yes.
what, you want something, girl? Oh, yeah. She's barking to go outside. I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Hold on. Yeah, she wants to go outside. Come on. Okay. That's while I'm doing that, might as well go ahead and feed the cats. Hey, Peter, what's up? Kitty! both want to come back in? Roma, get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah. Well, anyways, needed to corral the dogs there. As I was saying beforehand, or hold on, let me make sure that this isn't. Okay, there we go.
Rock!
Hmm.
Rock! Rock!
What? I'm on a fucking break. Don't hear me screeching at you whenever you're twiddling your short and curlies.
Leave him, boy.
No, Trap. Well, you already soiled my solitude, so you may as well join me.
You're not hungry.
Good. It's not what I was offering.
Saw your brother again.
Congratulations. And I'm sure you'll let him go and Roger my axe good and plenty again. Hmm? Let's see the damage. Little canker throat wouldn't know proper weight and balance if it were dangling off his chut. You eating well enough?
I guess.
Good. All better. Now what the fuck else you want, huh? Times he gets so wrapped up in his work, Sentry hasn't the sense to sip or sup. And if he does remember, good luck getting him to cook his own meat. Guess I got all the stomach in the family. Along with the smarts.
You miss him.
What, that spit-fister? What do you...
I just need...
Hey, do you mind? Trying to concentrate here, already on a break from my break. What'll it be? Yeah, next time.
Hey! Where's your beast of burden?
What do you mean? I ate her. Fat bits of her out just a while ago.
What is wrong with you?
What? Her milk ran dry.
She was your friend.
Then she'll be happy I'm so well fed. Shit bricks, boy, you got a real sentimental streak, know that? Don't get yourself confused out there. I'm getting back to it.
Okay, I forgot about that. That was something I completely fucking forgot about. Anyways, and it's not just that. It's not just the fact that you can negotiate them within KOTOR, because you know you can go ahead and have HK-47 in your party again. You know you don't get dark side and dark side points, but the issue is, of course, that there's like. It's the fact of the matter that you go into an area with the Crate Dragon, and it's supposed to have Tusken Raiders in it that, for all intents and purposes, are far more violent, are described as being far more violent are described as quite literally being far more violent and belligerent than the ones you've been interacting with. Which more or less indicates that some of the Tusken Raiders might actually not necessarily be all that bad. You know, it's just that there are superstitious people with superstitious ideas and whatnot. Like, for example, the whole Smee thing, for example, when she was tortured to death and brutally beaten and all that stuff. Like, okay, yeah, that stuff's really fucking horrific, and there's really no excusing that. However, it's important to understand that there was a reason why it is that they did that. It wasn't just like, oh, we're gonna torture her for shits and giggles. They were actually, like, torturing Smee to see how long she would last, as a means of gauging the relative strength of the forces under which the Baru village, I mean not the Baru village, the compound, I guess you'd call it, or no, that's not right either. Let's just call it a farm, if you would.
Back to the witch from here.
That one. Behind the big statue of Thor.
because you know they were moisture farmers. I'll just call it a moisture farmer. You know, so I'll just call it fine. Anyways, point being is that due to her lasting the way what she did, that tribe likely would have never actually attacked them at all. So, you know, while it's fairly barbaric and there really isn't anything to excuse what was done to her, it's important to realize that there wasn't any mindlessness to it. Like, without reason. Like, you know, when people call them savage, when people refer to them as savages, what I picture are people living out in the buck wilds, buck fucking ass naked in a lot of ways, or in a lot of sense, with very little regard to any kind of social means, no social fucking organization of their own.
That gate. We should try to open it.
Why?
I mean, look at it. There's gotta be something useful behind it.
Suppose we'll do that when I'm done getting all this stuff out around here. Anyways, so yeah, and a lot of people might say, oh, well, you're twisting the words of, like, them acting as savages. The very idea of the notion is, like, meant to be, like, without good reason and whatnot. And then, you know, what you just described is, like, an instance of them doing shit without a good reason. It's like, first of all, like, saying that without a good reason is the same thing as, like, no reason whatsoever. It's really, really bad reasoning right then there in and of itself. Just because you don't agree with it, and just because the reasoning is piss poor and it's not very excusable, doesn't mean that it's not a fucking reason. They didn't do it just for shits and giggles or because they could. They did it primarily because, well, you know, they had a belief about the forces of others. Which it's like, okay, people hostile, nomadic if you would, trying to have their own land and all that stuff. Oh, look, Putin bot this time. Nice. Oops, hold on. Let's unpin that message. I meant to do a report there. Yeah. A matter of fact, just to give an indication what it is I'm talking about, let me go ahead and bring up a video here real quick. Hold on for a second. Oh, wait. Looks like one of the people I'm subscribed to doing a video here. Hold on. Let's see if I can catch it. Okay, this will be interesting. A little bit of divergence here real quick.
Essentially, we're going to hear Yari and Mulder responding to Peacemaker first episode, and they didn't like it. And it seems they didn't like it for political reasons. They do have some aesthetic criticism. Now, fair warning, I have not seen episode 1 of Peacemaker, but as we're going to see, I really don't have to because they're really misdescribing what is occurring or even the possible motive of James Gunn. Those are kind of shocking.
I'm going to be talking about Peacemaker, by the way, as well, so.
Allegedly a big DC fan, and he didn't jump in correctly because we're going to see they're making some rather incredible mistakes and assumptions.
I don't know anything about
I like
Peacemaker from the
but he's
comics at all,
obviously
so
just a
I have no
fucking
idea
idiot.
on that regard.
And then, of course, you know, there's white supremacist bad guys, and I'm like, of course there is. There's
Oh
gonna
man, we
be
didn't even mention his dad.
fucking everything. Yeah,
His
he's out.
dad, played by Robert Patrick, who I was really excited to see. He's the cartoon as well. Like, this really awkward line with, I think even Jay out of the three of us was just like, why did they, was that supposed to be funny? Basically, like, Peacemaker's like, oh, I shot a whole bunch of people while I was on my mission in Corte Maltese. And he's like, commies, blacks, kites. You're like, what? What?
He actually said kites.
Yes.
What?
I'm just throwing blacks in there? Like he's expecting Peacemaker to just gun down black people? Like what?
What?
Because he's a white.
He's a racist.
Like
That's
that's
why he
just
loves
like
Those are
China.
heroes of
that
some
happens
kind
all
of-
the time. You know, that's part of that reinforcement of that art. Even when it's in art, it's supposed to be tongue in cheek, but we all know they're everywhere.
God.
And yeah, so that just threw us
Yeah,
off
that's what the
completely.
boy season 2, isn't it? Girls get things done. no,
Because-
but really, they do.
Yeah.
And I was hoping we'd get like patriotic dad who can be fun but also stern, but no, he's just crazy. And
So what's the big deal? Well, apparently they don't like Peacemaker is a little too clownish. He's doing these weird mood swings. But one of the major things they really can't stand, the father is being portrayed as a white supremacist. Well, again, this is a little problematic because, according to Gary, he's not trying to be political. He's not trying to be a right-wing fascist. He's not being part of the alt-right.
Is that his fucking dad? Holy shit, this looks bad for Mauler.
To be
Fuck.
respected, but the problem is, in the comics, Peacemaker's father is a Nazi. This version
I wasn't aware of that.
is essentially a pastiche of the canonical father, who again is a Nazi, and this other character who's a supervillain. The point is, these are legitimate choices. Moreover, within the canon of comics, it's totally possible that James Gunn is just taking bits and pieces of, again, what is in the comics and just using it for his own purposes. They can still not like the show, or say the tone and aesthetics is not for them, but them imputing some kind of sinister political motive doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Or even them saying, this doesn't really fit the character. The character has violent mood swings. The character has a Nazi father. The character has very violent tendencies. And again, it's shown in the Suicide Squad. He is kind of stupid. So him being
This is
much
why
clownish,
it is if you're gonna actually fucking engage in criticism of these characters, if you would, from the perspective of quite literally being being a fan of the comics or whatever, and saying that these are not faithful adaptations or whatever. Like, this is why you need to know the fucking comics, or at the very least do a little bit of research by watching some videos and looking up some articles. Like, what the fuck?
I understand the point that they're overusing the white supremacist trope. That might be true for other characters, but not this character.
Yeah, this...
This makes a whole lot of sense. Because again, we can reference the comics, not just for one era, right? Because the Peacemaker has been rethought, remade, and rebooted in several different directions. Like, I knew him from the 1990s, but even then, yeah, he talked to himself. He was pretty crazy. And he's actually one of the rare characters where visually it hasn't been changed that much. So there's a lot of continuity to the character. I understand their point that they, being very much on the right wing, feel personally kind of assaulted, saying, oh, what are they trying to imply? That's canonical to the character. This is clearly referencing a lot of the comics. It's not exact, they're changing a lot of things, but Mauler saying, oh, I want him to be a conservative patriotic man. That's a political demand. That has nothing to do with the aesthetics. Saying, oh, I want him to be a normal father. You know, patriotic. Okay. What does that have to do with the character? The character's family history is just not like that. He's mentally disturbed. He had a Nazi daddy. James is taking little bits and pieces of that, and he's taking bits and pieces of combining it with this other villain who's also a racist. Now, again, maybe he should be more creative. Maybe not stick to the comics. But again, there's an inconsistency. Gary's full complaining is, why don't they just do the comics? Well, again, this seems pretty close to the comics. Maybe I'll see the episode. Maybe I'll agree he went too far. But it seems like they had an issue with the tone. It's too comedic. And it's got too much cursing and all that stuff. But again, a lot of stuff here. Okay, it didn't go the way he wanted to politically, but the Peacemaker is a very political character.
Yeah.
And again,
Sure seems like it.
It's got racism, Nazism, and he's pretty crazy. He's got split personality. He sees his father in various panels of the comics. The best I can come up with is Mauler obviously doesn't know the comics. Gary mainly knows the Marvel stuff, though we keep boasting he knows the DC stuff. So this could just be a gap. That's fine, but he should say that, saying I don't really know this character. But here versus
I don't know the fucking character of Peacemaker. I'll readily admit that. I thought that they were doing certain things like callbacks, if you would, to like, you know, how modern superheroes or like modern superheroes and modern supervillains are just the classic good guy versus bad guy stuff. There really isn't much ideological stuff going on there. Whereas the older villains and whatnot were much more ideologically oriented. They were anti-communist, they were white supremacists, some of them were Nazis, some of them were fucking extreme liberals and extreme anarchists and whatnot. But, you know, that kind of stuff.
What are you talking about?
So yeah, that's what I thought they were doing, but apparently they weren't. So that's not what was going on there.
With Gary Mauler and Heel versus Babyface. But I'll give the episode a chance. Maybe I'll agree with them that this Peacemaker went too far. But again, from my comic book knowledge and research, doesn't look like it went all that much further than what we've seen in the comics. But
yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're just presuming.
This is very fucking telling about Mauler and the type of comments he's willing to make out of pure and utter fucking ignorance all of a sudden, you know? As well as this demand. I mean, holy shit, why would you demand that out of it? Why won't you just simply take that in stride and take it for what it is and simply find a means by which you can enjoy it? If you don't enjoy it, say why, alright? But, yeah. Anyways, I was going to look up something. Now I kind of forgot what it was. Let's see here. I was going to... Oh, hey, Nitro Vroom. How you doing? What's up, man? Yeah. Just did a bit of a reaction there for a second. Gonna go back to playing the game, but I think I was going to bring something up here. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to go ahead and bring up the Star... what was his name? Geetsler. I think he was the one who did the video on Tusken Raiders. Yeah, okay, so the Tusken Raiders. Like I said, there is a lot to be said about these people and these particular individuals. More or less their mentality and how things are with them. And the fact that when people are criticizing their portrayal in the Book of Boba Fett, as saying that, oh, they should be referred to as mindless savages, they shouldn't be given a personality, they shouldn't be given a sympathy, or whatever, or some shit like that. I think these are people who literally just want anti-indigenous themes and things within the Star Wars movie, and they don't give a fuck about, like, how the Sand People are actually portrayed, and what their culture is, and how they actually are within Star Wars. Either from the EU into Disney in a faithful adaptation, but almost none of them are also talking about how, oh, this is incongruent with, like, the original trilogy stuff. You know, this is incongruent with how we see them in the prequel trilogy, which it's like, we see them a total of 3 times throughout the entirety of the saga. One in episode 1 with the Phantom Menace and the pod racer stuff. Second time with Smee and all that, and then the third time is like in episode 4 where they almost kill Luke, which it's like up to that point it's kind of established that Tusken Raiders are dangerous and not someone to be interacted with lightly in a sense. But anyways, yeah, let's get into this video here.
People of Tatooine, often referred to as Tusken Raiders, have long been characterized as brutal, heartless savages in Star Wars media. The films in particular depict them as vicious aggressors that wage a senseless war against the human settlers of Tatooine, described as animals by a few major characters. But those of you who have been watching the Book of Boba Fett probably know by now that this wasn't the full story. Taking after The Mandalorian and Knights of the Old Republic, the Book of Boba Fett has shown a much more reasonable and even honorable side of the Sand People. In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at Sand People culture and what these enigmatic warriors were actually like.
He's gonna go over like all this stuff that I've just talked about not too long ago.
The Sand People have long been go-to antagonists for Star Wars stories set on Tatooine, and over the years we've seen some tales of them doing some pretty despicable things. In both A New Hope and The Phantom Menace, they attacked Luke and Anakin Skywalker for seemingly no reason, striking from the shadows with Gaddafi sticks and Cyclo rifles. In Attack of the Clones, they took it a step further and kidnapped Shmi Skywalker, torturing her to death as part of a ritual that we'll discuss in more detail later. But the Book of Boba Fett has shown casual fans a different side of the Sand People. In the show, they capture Boba Fett and take him as a slave, but over time, Boba earns their respect. They allow Boba to train as a warrior to prove his worth, and they even welcome him into their tribe. Not only was Fett able to reason with the Sand People, but he also came to sympathize with them and understand their distrust of outsiders. The more Fett came to understand them, the more he realized they weren't so bad after all. The Book of Boba Fett did not retcon the Sand People in any way. They always had this more sympathetic side to them. The reason they usually seem so brutal and evil is because the audience's perspective is often skewed in stories that feature them. Our view is colored by the attitudes of Tatooine settlers, who absolutely despised the ones they called Tusken Raiders.
Yep.
Let's talk about that name for a moment. A lot of fans assume that Sand People is a sort of slur and Tusken Raider is the proper name for Tatooine's indigenous warriors. But it's actually the other way around. Tusken is not an indigenous name, rather it was the name of a remote fortress built by Tatooine settlers specifically to protect against them, which the Sand People
By the way,
raised.
I refer to them as the Tusken Raiders
They got called Tusken
primarily because that's the first name that they were introduced with, and I'm not referring to them as Sand People. Like, even though it's like the reverse, I don't care, because it's like, I'm gonna call them Tuskens because that's how they were first introduced in that sense.
specifically to
There's a
protect
preference.
against them, which the Sand People raised.
Hold on.
But Tatooine not an indigenous name, rather it was the name of a remote fortress built by Tatooine settlers specifically to protect against them, which the Sand People raised. They got called Tusken Raiders because they attacked Fort Tusken, a legitimate military target, over a land dispute. As with many perceptions fans have of the Sand People, the name Tusken Raiders is mostly used because we don't often see the full story when it comes to the Sand People. The Book of Boba Fett gave us a much more honest view of the Sand People, one that actually echoes material we've seen in Legends. It's a welcome change of pace, in our opinion. We've established that the common view of the Sand People is deeply flawed. But what, then?
So yeah, there's not really much that I'm going to be going into in this regard, because, you know, it goes into the people of the sand. Actually, you know what? No, I'm just going to let this video play, because this does seem to, like, go into... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that... Actually, I'll just let him go into it, because I'll take a lot longer in that sense.
Were they actually like? To answer that question, we need to dive deep into their culture. The expanded universe actually gives a lot of information about Sand People culture. Not all of it is canon, but canon hasn't conflicted with any Legends lore about the Sand People so far. Central to Sand People culture was their creation myth, a tale of an ancient age that was passed down orally from generation to generation. The story spoke of a time when Tatooine was green with life, when most of the world was covered by vast oceans, and its people dared to think themselves better than the land.
Oh, by the way, a little bit of information here with regards to this. There is a huge contradiction in this. And what I mean by that, and I'll go ahead and... In fact, real quick, let me go ahead and just take this... I'm using the wrong browser here. So, meant to use this one. So, yeah.
The Sand People of Tatooine, often referred to as Tusken Raiders, have long been characterized as brutal.
Anyways, let's go back to that point there. Yeah. So yeah, there is a contradiction in here. And that is, of course, with regards to Tatooine. In the Disney canon. Hold on. I mean, he's kind of right, but not entirely. Because if we look at canon, at the history in terms of, like, that, we find out that, let's see, where's the description at exactly? Here we go. Okay, so when people are talking about the Tusken Raiders, they're typically talking about the fact that they destroyed their own planet and they completely and utterly wrecked it. And that is the canon portrayal of them. That is actually that is correct. Hold on for a second. I'm not exactly. Yeah, that is actually correct here. Long ago, I don't know why it says a long ago. Oh, okay, I see. A long ago mining boom saw the widespread use of sand crawlers on the desert plains in an effort to mine valuable minerals. However, after it was discovered that most valuable minerals could be found on the surface, along with most minerals having unwanted metallurgic properties, the sand crawlers were abandoned and eventually picked up by the native Jawas to use as shelter. Oh, wait, that's not exactly what it is I'm trying to find here. Okay. It says that the planet became like a desert unknown by unknown, become a desert by unknown means. You know, the oceans dried away, you know, and all that stuff. But in reality, like, their planet was glassed by them, by the Rakutans. So, yeah, someone had told me that that they had destroyed their own planet and all that stuff, and I figured that they were getting the stuff from Disney's canon, which, like, they basically, and the reason why it is that this is sort of being brought up is that if you look at Jakku, by the way, its history. It's the exact same background. Like, at some unknown point, the planet was reduced to a barren desert wasteland. However, the planet's core still had a vital spark of life essence, something which disgusted Sheev Palpatine. Like, okay. Dogs want to go out. Hold on. Hold on. Go on, buddy. Go on. Yeah. I actually went over this stuff, and I may be like misremembering, or I probably misread something, but I had a reaction about how it is that they, like, how Star Wars yeeted the cotton lore and all that stuff onto Jakku and made it like one of those planets that, oh, naturally sort of became that. And Jakku is the planet with, like, Tatooine's background. But again, I could be misremembering, or I maybe have originally misread. I don't know. But yeah, this sort of speaks to the laziness of it, but let's get back to what we were doing here.
When Tatooine was green with life, when most of the world was covered by vast oceans, and its people dared to think themselves better than the land.
Yeah.
On ancient Tatooine, their ancestors built great cities, developed fearsome technologies, and even took ships into space, seeking to touch the stars. But their ancient ancestors were conquered by the Builders, a vicious alien race with an empire that spanned the stars. As translated by HK-47, the legends claim that the Builders did not touch the stars. Instead, they lashed them to milestones. The Builders enslaved the ancient inhabitants of Tatooine and abducted many of them to serve on other worlds. But one day, the Builders were hit by a terrible plague, and Tatooine...
By the way, there's a bit of a lie going around, especially within Rag's community. I don't know what the fuck is going on with him specifically, but he had like a bunch of fucking people in his comment section when he like talked about the whole Tusken Raider stuff with regards to... Hold on. I've got to go ahead and see what's going on there with Roma. She seems to be hard to figure out. Roma, come here. Shit, stop barking at the fucking neighbors. Come on, close the door if you want. You want to come in? Yeah, she's barking at the neighbors for some weird fucking reason. Come on. Yeah, that's what was going on. She wanted to go out and bark at the fucking neighbors. Jeez. Anyways, like, there is a lie also being put forth that for whatever reason the Tuscans are not native to the people, that they were brought there, that somehow like invalidates what was being done. I'm sorry, but like, this is basically the equivalent of saying that, oh, all black people in America aren't actually Americans because they were brought over here by slaves. It's like, shut the fuck up. No one gives a flying fuck. Like, holy hell, why is that even an issue there?
Took the opportunity to rebel. The ancestors of the Sand People destroyed the builders' machines and drove them from Tatooine, then sought shelter deep in the caves as the builders exacted their revenge. The builders glassed the entire surface of Tatooine, boiling away at its oceans and cleansing it of all but a few species. Over millennia, the glass ground down into sand, and the people of Tatooine emerged from their caves, finding the planet a great desert. As the Sand People saw it, their
something that isn't really talked about or shown at all is the fact that the Tuscans initially were living underground, and they only ever emerged from the surface due to settlers initially trying to tap below the surface of the planet into reservoir ducts that quite literally displaced quite a bit of water. So when they came up onto the surface, the first thing that they were doing was, for all intents and purposes, finding water, and they came across a species using technology that looked very similar to what they could recall that their ancestors had fought. So yeah, it's like, that's their first fucking involvement with outsiders after the Rakatans. Probably not a good look. Just saying.
ancient ancestors had sinned. They had disrespected the land and set themselves apart from it, ravaging the countryside to build great towers and starships. As punishment, they had been conquered and their homes were destroyed. But upon emerging from the caves after the bombardment, Tatooine's natives saw the error of their ways. Though their homeworld had been reduced to sand, they vowed to cherish what was left. Ever after, they saw themselves as part of the land and aimed to live in harmony with it. Thus, they became the Sand People. This, by the way, was why the Sand People hated Offworlders. Their lack of advanced technology wasn't due to
wasn't the only reason, but yeah, it definitely didn't help.
Will or skill. Rather, it was a deliberate choice. They lived simply because they considered it blasphemous to rely on machines to do the hard work in life for them. Most tribes made exceptions out of necessity. Some tribes of Sand People accepted the use of outsider weapons or moisture evaporators, while the Sand People we saw in the book of Boba Fett made use of speeder bikes, which was a rarity. Most Sand People tribes believed that it was unacceptable to use speeder bikes or other vehicles as it severed a connection with the land. They restricted themselves to travel on foot or on sacred animals like banthas to maintain a direct connection with the soil. Few of Tatooine's settlers had similar values. Instead, they reminded the Sand People of the builders and the arrogance of their ancestors.
So yeah, I'm gonna stop it right there. There's really no more reason to go beyond that. I hope Rags, let's see a book. Alright, coming back here, kind of late all things considered. But yeah, I had some chicken wings. Figured I'd go ahead and simply cook something on that regard. And, well, you know, not really all that big of a deal, really. So, let's see here. I'm just checking to see exactly how much time has passed on my stream. And, I guess I'm not going to be getting a continuation. Maybe I will. Hold on. Gotta check to see how long this stream has been on for. Because I had to you know, cook wings. That took a long fucking time to be able to do so. So, you know, let's see here. I'm going to see. Huh. It resetted? I don't know. Huh. Well, I guess it'll probably, like... I guess, for whatever reason, it will sort of do its job. I think it was like an hour and a half in, so we've got like about another hour and a half to go here. So let's go and continue. It's pretty late in the day. Not too sure whether or not someone's going to go ahead and come in here, but I'll keep an eye on it. Let's see here. Time to go ahead and see the witch here. We're not gonna bother lowering the lake because that's, I believe, what is gonna be coming in next. So, what I will do, however, is that we'll go ahead and explore a little bit before we have to do that. Oops. There we go. Alright. So, yeah.
I know she's really powerful, but you really think the witch can bring a head back to life?
She seems competent in her craft, and we have nothing to lose.
If she can't bring it back to life, can we keep the head?
No. But you may feed it to the fish.
Okay.
Huh. Yeah, I don't think Kratos would really be interested in having a fucking head lying around.
You gotta teach me that one.
What are you barking at? What's going on? Dogs are barking again. Hold on. Oh. I see. It's okay, girl. It's okay. It's just music. Some loud fucking music meters were blaring as they were pulling out of the car. Out of the driveway. Don't worry about it. Yeah. The neighbors have a tendency to do something with their, to sort of blare out a loud fucking music as they're driving into the garage. Sometimes they do the same thing while going outside. May have heard it, in fact, but not too sure. Oh, yeah. God damn it. I really fucking dislike these witches. Okay, can't get through that way then. Let's see here. Huh.
I bet this'll lead out. Hey, this does more than decipher those Muspelheim runes. It also contains the travel rune. Should we go visit the fire realm?
I'll find the chest first before I do this. Before I do this, so.
Turn back Acer. Guess the gods are welcome here. There he is! I hope he remembers us.
Interesting. So yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and give my thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi, the thing that's coming up there. Now, I honestly don't really have any thoughts on this particular show, other than I don't know if I'm confident whether or not Disney... Hold on. I'm getting the distinctive feeling that I turned down the fucking volume too low on this. Hold on. Okay, yeah, the volume is way too low on this, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that up then. Game volumes should be much louder. There we go. Turned it up quite a bit there. So it should be more representative of how it is. Yeah, there we go. Hail Frigg, generous Frigg, who gave the world her brightest light, young Baldur, gleaming god, pride of the Aesir, Odin's son, and heir to Asgard. Long may she protect him. Long may he protect us. Hail Baldur the Golden, hail Frigg, beloved of all, hail the All-Father. Interesting. I'm sort of waiting for a lot of the promotional material for Obi-Wan Kenobi to come by. Sorry, I'm just a little bit bothered by the lack of sound there. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to be heard, and hell, I'll just go through my volume next time I check out the video again, just to see if I need to make some adjustments. So,
What is that name?
That's what he told me it was. Or what it sounded like in my head, anyway. Charlie.
Interesting.
Focus up.
Need more time!
God damn it.
Tommy Wayne!
Keep it up.
Roger, behind you! I'm ready!
Ooh.
Adequate.
There's a lot of things that do kind of worry me, though, with regards to the adaptation. Hold on. I should be able to read that, but it's just not letting me for whatever reason. So, yeah.
Be ready.
God damn it. Fucking Christ. Alright. The thing that has kind of got me worried, though, is that, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think that they can do anything with regards to Vader fighting Obi-Wan without it being just massively inconvenient for, like, everything regarding the plot itself.
Here, boy.
I know those roads. That's Vinder. When? Must be for that sand bowl down there.
And I'm not entirely too sure whether or not they can do something like that. Like, they're obviously going to blow their load. It's very clear that... Ah, there we go.
Can you read it?
Yes, sir. Death to the Raven God, Lord of the Hang.
And the reason, anyways, it's very clear that they don't give a shit about lore. They don't give a shit about keeping
What does it say?
the lore of their own.
And turtle dove. Swim aloft in oceans above. Ah. When? Look what it did!
Huh, nice. So, the reason why I say that is because, if you remember, way back in the day, very early on, when it came to Disney like pumping out Star Wars material, there was a character that released. I can't remember her name, but she was basically slated to be Han Solo's wife. Now, for the record, I want to make it very clear here, there were all kinds of implications to this. In that, not only was she Han Solo's wife, but she was Han Solo's wife while he was like flirting and doing his whole thing with Leia.
Read it.
Basically turning him into a sort of a...
Say 30 things upon all who trespass.
Anyways, and like it was such an outrageous thing because like Han Solo is many things that are to a large degree negative. He's arrogant, he's suave, he's very like guarded in a sense, really, that sort of takes away from the fact that he's always fucking on the goddamn turnpike trying to get some money when he almost never can, when most of the time he really isn't able to all that much. And like he's tends to put upon a lot of people some baggage that doesn't really need to be had. Now, those are the negative things about Han Solo. But all of the things that we know about him suggest that he's not a cheat. He doesn't cheat on the people he loves. He doesn't actually like have this. He doesn't basically just betray people willy-nilly. It's not his thing. Even in the EU, that was sort of a thing that kept consistent with Han. Now, of course, they've changed the EU to one which is no longer canon, but it's like, why would you make Han Solo a cheat? Why would you make it so that way he cheats on the woman he loves? Or the woman he loves with someone who is far, far and away younger than him. In fact, I don't know if anyone knows this, but Han Solo was written in a way in the movie where in which the character the actor that was portraying Han Solo was the age of that character, while Carrie Fisher was also the age of that character as well. So, Han Solo, I mean, Harrison Ford at the time was like, Harrison Ford at the time, I believe, was like in his early 30s. Carrie Fisher was just like 19, 18, something like that. Quite a bit of an age gap there. Pretty fucking creepy in retrospect. In retrospect, to some degree, but no one really questions it. Primarily because Han Solo keeps himself so well, and it somewhat makes sense because they've been together, like together in the same platoon, working together for so long, and they've been through so much that they would obviously develop that sort of relationship. So people don't mind it. But to make him so that way he already has a wife, and he's cheating on that wife, there's just so much wrong with that, and so much of an implication with that, that suffice to say, I don't really want to get into, but it more or less indicates that they weren't really thinking about the decision. They decanonized her. So you also have a number of other issues which seem to be recently have been decanonized. In the Disney canon, it's like, holy fucking hell. Disney doesn't know how to keep its own canon straight. And it's only been about a decade since the Disney acquisition. What the fuck? Anyways.
Father, she is here. It's so good to see you again. I knew you weren't dead.
Hello.
Oh, can you bring a head back to life?
I'm not sure I understand what... Wait. Where did you get those? The arrows. Give them to me, now.
They were a gift.
Do as she says, boy.
These arrows are dangerous and wicked. You find any more, you destroy them, understand? Do you understand? Say it!
I understand. If I see them, I'll destroy them.
It's all I ask. Forgive me. Please, take my arrows in their place. I have no need for them anymore. Now, what's this about a head? Do you have any idea who this is? Did you kill him?
At his request. He claimed you could revive him.
Me? Are you sure you heard him right?
Please?
Take him to the table. Hamlet. It's been a long time since I've practiced the old magic. Hold him there. Let's have a look. Well, thankfully his head hasn't decayed much and his brain is still intact. Nice clean cut. Cutting off his head of all people. I sure hope you know what you're doing. Now, hold his head under the water and don't let go.